fast. I'll talk fast. All right. Both management and unions have an obligation to supply necessary and relevant information in collective bargaining. Why is that? It's because Congress and the D.C. Council, everybody who has anything to do, knows anything about labor relations at all, knows that the exchange of essential information is what makes collective bargaining work. Now, what kind of bargaining are we talking about? Well, bargaining for a new contract, that's area number one. And the same thing is true when you're bargaining during the term of the agreement. In other words, you're bargaining over grievances, you're bargaining over other issues of contract administration. Because that's really what's going on. Sometimes we don't think about that as bargaining, but it really is. All right. Information obligations during contract negotiations. Let's talk about that first. The Leeds case on this. Okay, so there is an obligation to provide that information during the course of bargaining for a new contract. Okay? We'll talk in a little bit about what kind of information you have to give up, what's relevant and what's necessary, but we're just talking now about the times in which you have to produce. The second time you have to produce information, requested information, is during the life of the agreement, where the union wants the information to be sure that the contract's being honored. Or the union needs it, for instance, to judge the strength of the employer's claims about what it needs, what it wants to do. The union may also want it to eliminate non-meritorious grievances. In other words, the union has a grievance about tardiness. The union says, look, our guy who got fired for tardiness says that everybody else was tardy too, but you never fired them before. We want to look at all of the time cards for the past year to just see if that's true. Why does the union want it? Well, the union wants it maybe to help prove its case if it goes to arbitration. That's okay. But it also wants it to see if this guy was telling the truth. Because if everybody else who was tardy got fired, the union is going to say, we're not going to take your case to arbitration. It's a non-meritorious grievance. So it serves the employer's interests to provide that information. And as I said a minute ago, the union is entitled to that information to prepare for arbitration. I know you say to yourself, oh, I don't want to give this up. This is my ace in the hole. When I drop this on the arbitrator, I'm going to blow him right out of the water, and I don't want the union to be able to prepare for it. Well, I'm sorry. They've got a right to have that information. If they ask for it, they have a right to that information, and you don't have a right to blow them out of the water in those circumstances. Okay? Needless to say, if the information, think about that as bargaining, but it really is. All right. Information obligations during contract negotiations. Let's talk about that first. The Leeds case on this is the Supreme Court's decision in Truitt. I don't have the citation, I'm sorry, but it's Truitt Manufacturing, okay? Truitt Manufacturing. It's a big Supreme Court case. And the court said, and I quote, "Good faith bargaining requires honest claims. Issues important enough for bargaining are important enough to require some sort of proof of occurrency." Or of accuracy, I'm sorry, I misread my notes. Some sort of proof of accuracy. Now, Truitt usually comes up in the private sector, wants to force employees to give it up. But that's the law. That is the law if the employer is claiming inability to pay. In a very recent NLRB case, the union made a request for request for information. The employer ignored it. By the way, I see that a lot in deep PERC cases, but this is a private sector case. The employer ignored it. The parties went ahead and got a contract. The NLRB still prosecuted the employer. Okay? And when they got to before the judge and before the board, the employer says, hey, there's no need for that. There was no need for that information. You should dismiss this case. And the proof of that, there's no need for that, is the union agreed to a contract. the board says, no, you misunderstand. Yes, that is, the most that says is that the union just decided they were willing to go ahead, but we want to be sure that we built in an order against this employer. So the next contract, when he does it, it'll be a violation of our order. Yes, ma'am.
Was the remedy something else besides posting that we violated the?
Yeah, provide the union with the information, even though it's
After,
even though it's old news.
they ordered them to provide that
Yeah,
information.
even though it's old news. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.